Okay, here's my to-do list for this video. Install the Git software, the command line software. I'm going to set up the bash. This is the name of the command line processor that we're going to be using. We'll create an account on Git, create a repository, on GitHub, create a repository and set up the public private key so that we can do stuff without passwords all the time. So first thing you need to do is to download the Git software and Git SCM, that's the guy you want. If you follow that link, you should be able to download the software. Downloads. I already done this. You can see there's a Windows option there. When you've done this, you should find on your C drive in Program Files, you've got a Git folder. There it is. There's the Git folder. And in that Git folder, the thing that you want, there's lots of stuff in here, but git-bash is the guy you want to start with. So I'm going to create a shortcut on my desktop to that. I'm going to be using it a lot. So this is git-bash, and I'll be using that a great deal. If I double click on this, it starts out not terribly useful. It's in the wrong folder. What it's done is actually opened the command prompt at in here, which is in Program Files, and I don't want to be storing, I don't want to be working there. I want to be working in /users/John is the person I'm pretending to be at the moment. So this is John's area. And so what I want to do is create files in there, but I can't see these files and I can't easily get to them. I can do cd/c/users/John. If I do that, then I can see those files, but I don't want to be bothered with that every time. So a little bit of effort, but I'm going to right click Properties and change the start in spot. I'm going to change it in c:/users/John. Because we're in Windows, we don't have to get the upper lowercase thing right. That means that if I exit here, next time I start this, my directory, pwd, my directory is /users/John, and I can see the files. Okay, so let's make up a project. So the project is going to be called world, so I can say mkdir world. I could just as easily have done that by right-clicking. Can you see in this one here, when I did that world, it shows up here, and I can cd world, and we can see the files in there. You've got lots of options for editing. You can use Sublime or something like that. I'm going to use Vim just quickly here. So I'm going to say vi index.html. So this is going to be a little HTML file. Let's do the doc type thing and not bother with anything other than hello world. Okay, so that's my file. I press escape and right quit, and that has created, I hope here, yep, that's created index. You can't see it's index.html. Can I change the options here quickly? Just takes a moment. View options, and I want to view, don't hide the extensions, I'm not an idiot. Okay, so I can see it's called index.html. So I've got a single file, and what I want to do is to put that onto GitHub. So here's my tiny project. It's just got one file in it. There's hardly anything in it. I'm going to go over to GitHub now. GitHub, and I've got an account at GitHub. I'm going to sign in, and my username is Andrew with a 3. Nope, that's creating an account. I want to sign in. Okay, that's better, and it's remembered me. Okay, let's start a project. So I'm going to give it the same name. This project is going to be called World, and eventually it will be a world fact. Okay, I've done this before. World fact book in Flask. It's going to be a public one, and I will create a repository. So now on GitHub, what we've got is a project with, well, not a project, a repository with basically nothing in it. And it starts out by giving me instructions here on how to create a repository and push it up to Git from the command line. This first thing here is just creating a file. I did that with index.html, but other than that, I'm going to follow the instructions. Just going to make my text a teeny bit bigger. Text. So Lucida Console, that's my favorite font. But if we take it up to 12, that's a bit easier to see. Okay, so apply, save, good. All right, so I'm just going to follow these instructions. First thing I do is git init, no problem, and then add that file, git add, and my file was called index.html. When I'm in this, I can just type in the first few letters, or I, for example, and hit tab, and it auto-completes, which is handy. I get a little warning there about line endings, but I'm not worried about that in the slightest. And I will do a git commit. So this is the thing you're going to be doing a lot. So you'll be doing a lot of git commits. Every time you have a little success, you do a commit. And you give it a message, and we say -a, and it's not letting me do that. Okay, so before I do this, I have to set git up. So git config, I'm just following the instructions I was given. Git config -- global, and its username is Andrew with a 3. Okay, and same with the email address. I'm going to use my Napier address, that's 4000036 at napier.ac.uk. If you're a Napier student, you'll have live in there. So Napier students, you've got the word live in there for some reason. I guess students are live. All right, so that's should have fixed the commit problem. So if I up arrow back to the commit line, I can run that again, and this time it worked. Okay, so now what I want to do is to set these, send this file up to GitHub. And what I'm going to do is associate this project with this address. Now you've got two options. If you go for HTTPS, then you have to put in your password every time. If you go for SSH, then you can use the SSH magic, but there's a teeny bit more setting up. So let's use the SSH magic one. Oh, I like the way it changes there. We've got to get this address exactly right, so I'm going to copy it. And here I'm going to say git, I could of course copy the whole lot, git remote add origin, and then I will right click to paste. Okay, let's get that address exactly right. So that's git@github.com, my username, and then the name of my project. I should get an error when I do this, but we can fix it. Okay, didn't get an error there. That worked fine. The error happens when I actually try and do it. So when I try and do the push -u origin master. Okay, so this first thing, this is an error. This is asking us to confirm that GitHub, it really is GitHub. And I guess I should go somewhere to check that that fingerprint matches, but I'm just going to trust it for the moment. Okay, so that's the error I was after. So there's now saying permission denied. It doesn't like my public key, and that's because I don't have a public key. Let's do the public key magic. Public key magic goes like this. First off, I do SSH keygen. So SSH keygen, and let's watch what happens when I do this. If I go back to this level, John. Can you see there's an SSH directory? That got created when I confirmed this thing here. So when I confirmed that this in fact was really GitHub, then it created a folder called SSH, and in there a known host. So it now is going to assume forevermore that that is the true GitHub. Okay, so SSH got created, and in there known host got created. When I do keygen, I should get a pair, public-private key pair. SSH keygen. Where do I want to put it? I want to put it exactly there. Yep, and we'll see it being created. So that's where I want it to go. I definitely don't want a passphrase or a passphrase. and now it's created them. So here I now have these two files. That is ID RSA, that's my private key. Now I can't show you what's in there. If I showed you that, I'd have to kill you. But this is my public key, and anyone can know that, because the only danger if I share my public key, the danger is that you might give me access to your computer. And so if you want to take that public key and paste it in the right place on your computer, I'll be able to access your computer. And that's what we're really doing with GitHub. So at GitHub, I'm going to say trust that key. So if someone's got a public key like that, then that's me. Okay, so if I go to my profile, and I am looking for settings somewhere, edit profile, can't see it, secure, oh we go, SSH and well, it says the SSH keys is what I want. Okay, I've got two here that I don't want anymore. I don't remember when I made that. Yeah, go on, get rid of it. And I'm going to delete that one as well. And I'm going to say I've got a new SSH key. Okay, this is from my lovely Yoga laptop, so I'm going to call it Yoga. The idea is that this key is going to stay on this machine. It will never leave this computer. The private key will never leave this computer. Public key can. So I copy that, paste it in there, and add the SSH key. Okay, that looks good. So my Yoga machine has got that public key. I am very much hoping that this is going to work now. So it was this push command that gave me the error before. Let's try it again. Oh, it's pausing. Yes, it's done it. Fantastic. Okay, so what's happened is that has now sent the data up to GitHub. And if I can find my projects, where are my projects? Pull requests, search GitHub. Yeah. Click on that guy there. Here we go. So I've got world. There's world. And you can see there's index.html. That's the first commit that I made. All right, so that's index.html, and you can look at this file here. More importantly, your teacher can look at this file here, and we can see that you're regularly making commits. The idea is that every time I make a change, I do a commit and a push. Let's make some changes. If we look at the project right now, where were we? So back in world. So here's world, and let's test my application. It's called index.html. It says hello world, and I want to change that a bit. So let's edit it. So vi index.html. Okay, let's give it a rel equals style sheet. We'll give it a style sheet. Style sheet, and is it href equals world.css. Okay, and right quit, and let's also vi world.css, and this will say body font family, everyone's favorite font, Arial. Right quit and reload. Oh yes, it's changed the font. Okay, so that's an immeasurably better project now. Okay, so I'm satisfied with my changes. I've made some changes and I'm happy with them. So I will do a new commit. Before I do, I have to add that new file. I created a new file called, what was it, world. So git add world, that adds it in. And then I can do commit -m. This is now with CSS. And the A, that didn't work. I forgot the word git. So git commit -m now with CSS. Okay, I've made my changes and I should be able to push git push. And with a bit of luck, this thing will get updated. Okay, so if I reload this, you can see there are now 2 files in my repository, and you can see there have been 2 commits, and basically it keeps it keeps a copy of your project at all stages. So every commit you've got, you can roll back to a given commit. You can also share your code. So if you were to give me the if you were to give me the address of your project, so if you were to pass on this address here, so you right now you can look up this address and you can find out how this project is going. After this video, I might have made some more changes. Chances are I haven't. Um, so this is available to the world, and more importantly is available to me, and I'll be able to keep track of your progress. I'll be able to see how often you make changes. I'll be able to see what your changes are. And that means if, and I'm sure it won't happen, but if you were to be suspected or someone was to accuse you of cheating or copying files from someone, it would be very easy for you to prove, to demonstrate that you've got a track record of making regular commits. And that will convince anyone that it's your work and you haven't been copying it from someone else. So this is a great advantage of Git. I want you to be doing it often, so you commit often and you commit as soon as you've got something working. That's what I tend to do. And very, very rarely I'll have to roll back, I'll have to undo some commits. Okay, so I encourage you to get started with Git and commit as often as possible.